Okay, so Kal Kadosh Shavua Tov Boker Tov. We're going to start Mem Daled Amud Aleph 44a1. We're going to start from the Mishnah. Okay, so it says here like this. We're starting the Mishnah Mem Daled Amud Aleph. The Mishnah says Metaltalin Ner Chadash Avalo Yashan. You're allowed to come and you're allowed to be metaltel. You're allowed to carry a ner of cheres, which is basically an earthenware or something made out of pottery. Okay, of cheres, chadash, if it's a new candle, but not an old candle. Why? Because once it's old, it's disgusting, and therefore it's going to be considered mukse. That's according to Tanakama. But Rabbi Shimon says, Kol hanerot metaltalin chutz min haner hadaluk b'Shabbat. Any type of candle you're allowed to move on Shabbat, except for a candle which is actually lit right now. And that's how we paskin halacha l'maaseh, by the way, you should know, that we paskin like Rabbi Shimon, which is basically that you're allowed to carry because the candle is like a kli shelachto l'isur, a utensil which is used for isur. So here you're allowed to carry, according to Shitat Rabbi Shimon, the candles as long as it's not lit. If it's lit right now, so then you're not allowed to carry it, okay? So let's see the Gemara. Tan Rabbanan, we learned to the Braita. It says, Metaltalin ner chadash, avalo yashan. So you're allowed to carry a new candle, but not an old candle. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. These are the words of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Meir Omer, Rabbi Meir says, Kol hanerot metaltalin, chutz min haner shiliku ba b'Shabbat. According to, so it comes out that our Mishnah, where it says, Metaltalin ner chadash, avalo yashan, is the Shita of Rabbi Yehuda. That's what it sounds like, correct? Because it's the exact same words. Rabbi Meir comes and he says, no, kol hanerot metaltalin. So that's the beginning part, exactly like Rabbi Shimon. Any candle you're allowed to be metaltel, except for the candle that you lit on Shabbat, even though right now it's off. That means according to Rabbi Meir, he does agree to Rabbi Shimon that every type of a candle you could accept, right? According to Rabbi Meir, every type of a candle you will be able to accept any type of a candle, except for a candle that was lit on the same Shabbat. Okay, so we just started Mem Daled Amud Aleph, right? We just started the Mishnah. So one more time, the Mishnah says that you're allowed to be metaltel ner chadash velo yashan, a new candle which is made out of pottery you could carry even on an old one. And why was an old one becomes disgusting? So we just learned right now in the Gemara that that's Shitat Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Shimon says in the Mishnah, any type of a candle could be carried, except for if it's lit right now, meaning it's physically on. Okay. Now, the Gemara says, that's Rabbi Yehuda. So therefore it comes out that the Reisha of our Mishnah, the former part of our Mishnah, is the Shita of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Meir is like Rabbi Shimon in a sense, but he's a little bit more stringent. He says it's true, any type of a candle can be carried. However, though, he says that if it's going to be lit on Shabbat, even though right now it's off, the second it was lit on the onset of Shabbat, that's it, it's a sur. According to Shitat Rabbi Shimon, chutz min haner hadaluk b'Shabbat, kavta mutar l'tatala. He says, no, if it was on Shabbat, you're right, you're not allowed to carry it when it's on. But the second that it turned off, now you could carry it. That's the Shitat of Rabbi Shimon. So we only had Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon in our Mishnah. We didn't even have Shitat Rabbi Meir. But this Braita was teaching us the three different Shitot. It says in the Shitat of Rabbi Shimon, okay, it says, aval, kos v'ke'ara v'ashashit. However, though, what happens if you have a big cup, which is made out of zechuchit, out of glass, which you light in it? Rather, they filled it up with oil and they lit it. Lo yezizam mikmol. There, you cannot move this glass after it already turned off. The Gemara is going to explain why. Rabbi Eliezer ben Shimon Omer, Rabbi Eliezer ben Shimon says, nistapek min haner, you're allowed to come and to take the oil from this candle, hakava, which already turned off, min hashemen hamitaftef, or from the oil which was dripping from the candle, va'afilu b'shah shaner lolek. And even at the time when it was actually, when it's lit, you could still take this oil that already dripped down. Now, the reason why is that we already learned that if you're going to take from the oil, right, from the candle which is lit, you're chayav mishum mechaber, which means you're extinguishing the flame. And the reason why is because when you have less oil in the candle, it doesn't burn as properly. So it comes out that when you're taking away oil, it's not that just you're taking away from time. You're taking away also from the quality of the candle. Okay, so therefore you're like turning off part of it. Okay, now here we're talking about that an extra yesod. The yesod is that when you have oil, right, in a ner shava, which is lit, it's not considered muktzeh. And therefore, because of that, Rabbi Eliezer ben Shimon says you're allowed to use it even when it's going to be lit. So the Gemara is going to explain this shita exactly, because if not, how does it make sense? So the Gemara explains like this. Amar Abaya comes and he says, Rabbi Eliezer ben Shimon savar kavua bechada upaligale bechada. Rabbi Eliezer ben Shimon, he holds like his father Rabbi Shimon in one halacha, but he argues on him on the regards the other halacha. Savar kavua bechada, he holds like his father in one halacha to let le muktzeh, that there's no muktzeh, which is like Rabbi Shimon shita, which means we don't hold that because it was disgusting or because at the end of the day, it's a candle. A candle's a candle. It might be a little bit not pleasant, but it's not muktzeh. You're allowed to use it, no problem. Okay, so he holds like his father. However, though, he argues on his father, because his father held, only if the candle turned off, then it's permitted. Okay, but if it didn't turn off, it's prohibited. But Rabbi Eliezer's son holds, even though it didn't turn off, it's still going to be permitted. Okay? Which, this is the braita that we said that Rabbi Shimon says it's motara shemen shebenem shebekara. That was the shemen which is left over after the candle already turned off. So it's mashma that when it's on, it's still muktzeh. Okay? But his son is holding that it's going to be permitted. Now, the reason why is because he held that something that was muktzeh for Shabbat, is, for the Ben Hashmashot, is muktzeh for the entire Shabbat. You remember we spoke about this yesod. Since it was already prohibited during Ben Hashmashot's time, it was prohibited throughout the entire time period. However, the Rabbi Eliezer, the son of Rabbi Shimon, he says that the kula is even more than that. He permits it, right? And according to him, there's no problem bichlal of muktzeh whatsoever. Okay, so this is a machloke between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Shimon and his father, Rabbi Shimon, because he's more lenient than his father. Okay? Now we're going back to the words of Rabbi Shimon himself. Okay? Now, says the Gemara, Aval kosu ke'ara v'ashashit. When we're talking about a glass, let's say a plate or a cup, a big cup, and then it's got the candle, right, everything inside, the oil and everything inside, you're not allowed to move it from its place, even after it turned off. Why is it different? Why is it that when you have a cup, a big cup, or a plate, or a shashit, and all these things, it's prohibited, but if it's a candle, it's permitted? What's the difference between like a cup or a plate or something, and between the candle? So Amar Ula comes and he says, the Seifa, the last part of the Braita, right, was really Rabbi Yehuda, was Rabbi Yehuda's Shita. It wasn't Rabbi Shimon's Shita, right? It wasn't the, meaning when we read the Braita, we understood it was a continuation of Rabbi Shimon's words. Because it says, Rabbi Shimon says, Chutz min hanera dolek b'Shabbat, kafta mutal taltala. But then we have like a dot, meaning even the arts will put like a dot. Aval, however, though, so we thought this was the continuation of Rabbi Shimon's words. Says the Gemara, no. This aval kosu ke'arava shashit, which is basically talking about things which is not the candle itself, but rather we're talking about whether it's a big cup or a plate or things like that which are filled with oil and then you lit. That is Rabbi Yehuda's words. So therefore, it's coming and saying it's shitat Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says that you're not allowed to be mitaltel nel yashan. So the Braita is teaching you that according to shitat Rabbi Yehuda, you're also not allowed to carry these things, right? Even though it turned off. Let me say this over here. He says here it's a new muktzeh. It's muktzeh mechamat isur because there's no muktzeh mechamat mius. Remember, the reasoning of Rabbi Yehuda that we learned in the Mishnah is that after pottery or after earthenware was lit once, it becomes disgusting. Here, there's no earthenware, no pottery, no nothing. It's a glass jug or a big cup with oil, water, oil, and then a wick. So you got to find, what's the big deal if it turns off afterwards? So he said, no, it's because of muktzeh mechamat isur, because it was asur at the beginning of Shabbat. So he says, according to Shitat Rabbi Yehuda, it's going to be prohibited. However, though, according to Shitat Rabbi Shimon, even this case would be permitted, which means that even in this case, you would be able to come and to move this as well. Okay? Clear until here for everybody?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. So now it says like this. Okay? Matkif la Morzutra. So Morzutra comes and he asks the following question. If so, My aval. What does it mean, aval? Aval, what does it mean, aval? Aval is mashma that there's a difference between this and a normal candle. According to this, there's no difference. According to Rabbi Yehuda, it's the exact same thing. They're always a sur. And according to the Shimon, it's the exact same thing. It's always mutar. It's always permitted. So what's the aval? When I come and I tell you, right, halacha A, B, and then I say but, when I say but, there's a difference between them. Here, there's no difference. According to Shitat Rabbi Yehuda, always prohibited. Whether it's of earthenware or this glass jug or this glass bowl or cup or whatever it is. According to Shitat Rabbi Shimon, just like there it's going to be permitted, so here it's going to be permitted. So what's the aval? So says the Gemara, El Amar Morzutra, Leolam Rabbi Shimon. No, you're right. Really, Be'emet, the last part of the Braita was also Rabbi Shimon. Meaning the words about the big cup and all those, that's also Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon. So when did Rabbi Shimon permit a candle, Bener Zuta, only in a small candle, that you had in mind in it, which means that you knew it was going to turn off on Shabbat. And therefore, since you knew it was going to turn off on Shabbat, you had in mind that you're going to move it after it turns off. But these which are huge, lo, he didn't permit you. Because you didn't have in mind that it was going to turn off. Meaning, if I had one of these big, huge candles, right, and it's probably not going to turn off on Shabbat, even if it does turn off on Shabbat, I'm not allowed to use it. Why am I not allowed to use it? For a very simple reason. Because at the end of the day, I never had in mind. I was maktzeh my dat, which means I segregated my mind that I'm not going to use this. And then that's it. I finished with it. And by the way, you should know that's the exact same halacha like nowadays as well. Nowadays, when you have a candle, for example, the candles of Shabbat, the Nerot Shabbat, what do we always tell you to do? We tell you to make a condition. The condition is that right after it finishes, meaning after it turns off, you're allowed to move it on Shabbat. And then we permit you moving it on Shabbat. That's Tzanai. The Yalkut says it's enough to do it once a year, and that's enough. So once a year you come, you make a condition. Be'ezrat Hashem, right after the candles turn off, I'm allowed to move the candles. And there's no problem whatsoever. And that's halacha l'maaseh. That's perfect. Okay? However, though, comes now Chachamim and they say that here, right, we're talking about the shita, that if it's going to be a huge candle, sometimes they have these large yortzeit candles, or regular yortzeit candle, 26 hours. I lit it only for Shabbat. So in that case, even when it turns off in the middle of Shabbat, since it was supposed to last the entire Shabbat, I'm not allowed to move it when it turns off. The reason why is because I never had in mind, right, that it should be done in this way. Okay? Okay. So now says the Gemara, Tanya, 1 second. But we learned in a Braita, Motar Hashem shebener v'shebekara asur, Rabbi Shimon matir. We learned that the leftover oil of a candle or of a pot, of a plate, is going to be prohibited. But Rabbi Shimon says it's going to be mutar. So the question is, 1 second, how could it be that Rabbi Shimon says it's mutar after it already turned off? I thought that here it says that everything's muktzeh because Rabbi Shimon says you never had it in mind because it's so big, it wouldn't turn off on Shabbat. So answers the Gemara, no. Hatam kara dumya dener, hacha kara dumya de kos. There, the kara was just like a candle. Normal candles will turn off in the middle of Shabbat, right? It doesn't matter what type of a wax candle that you want, or even the oil candle. Saying even if you put tons of oil, the entire, those little tiny glass things that you put on top of the candelabras, right? The candlesticks, right? Even if you fill it up completely with oil, by Shabbat morning, probably it'll be out, you understand? But here we're talking about the kara, which is like a candle. So therefore, when you have this little plate, and you have the wicks, and you have the oil, and it turns off on Shabbat, I could use the remaining oil. Because I had in mind that it was going to turn off. I knew it was going to turn off. However, though, here we're talking about a kara, which is dumya de kos, which is like a big cup. These big, huge cups, if it has a lot of oil, that will stay the entire Shabbat. So then it's prohibited for me to benefit from it or to even move it after it turns off, if it did turn off on Shabbat, because I never had it in mind. Okay? So now says the Gemara, right? Amar Bizera, says the Bizera, pamot. So pamot is a kli matechet, right? Which is basically like a candlestick. It's a metal utensil, which they let inside of it. Shiliko b'Shabbat. The divrei matir, according to the person that permits, which is a bimihi, that he permits carrying an old candle, it's a sur, it's going to be prohibited, right? Now it says over here, why? Because it's muktzeh mechamati sur, which means that was the shita of Rabbi Meir. According to shita of Rabbi Meir, the second it was lit on Shabbat, that's it, you had it. And the same thing was like Rabbi Yehuda also. Ul divrei said, but according to Rabbi Yehuda, that he prohibited even more because he said it was muktzeh mechamati sur, here it becomes permitted. Why does it become permitted? Because it's made out of metal. So since it's made out of metal, it doesn't become disgusting. So since it doesn't become disgusting, it should be permitted. So says the Gemara, 1 second. According to Shitat Rabbi Yehuda, he only holds a muktzeh mechamat mius and not muktzeh mechamat isur. One more time. Muktzeh mechamat mius means once it becomes disgusting, I don't want to use it now. So therefore, it becomes disgusting. So earthenware, pottery becomes disgusting after you already lit in it. But glass or all the other things doesn't become metal, doesn't become disgusting. Now there's another concept. Muktzeh mechamat isur. Muktzeh mechamat isur means is that once something was lit on Shabbat, on the onset of Shabbat, meaning right before Shabbat, so then that was isur to use it. So there's a concept that once it was asur to use it, so then what happens is, I'm not allowed to use it for the rest of the Shabbat, or I'm not allowed to move it or do anything with the rest of the Shabbat. That's called muktzeh mechamat isur. So what the Gemara is now trying to judge or trying to find out is, are you going to tell me that according to Rabbi Meir, since he held it's muktzeh mechamat isur, so even if it was going to be out of metal, there's no muktzeh mechamat mius, there's nothing there, but there's muktzeh mechamat isur, which means that it's going to become asur because on the onset of Shabbat it was lit. So therefore, so too here, it's going to be prohibited, even though it was a metal. But according to Rabbi Yehuda, since he doesn't hold of it, it's going to become permitted. So says the Gemara, do you really think that according to Shitat Rabbi Yehuda, or do you think you're going to tell me now that he only holds a muktzeh mechamat mius, but not muktzeh mechamat isur? Right? Why? That time we learned in a Braita, Rabbi Yehuda says, all of the candles, shel matechet, kol hanerot shel matechet, even of metal, metaltalin, except for a ner shedliku bo b'Shabbat, except for a candle that was lit on Shabbat. So you see from here that as long as it was lit before Shabbat and was on during Shabbat, prohibited, gamarnu, there's nothing what to talk about. So it comes out that it's going to be prohibited. Right? So he does hold the muktzeh mechamat isur as well. So says the Gemara, no, you're right. Let's rephrase. Right? Amar bizera says bizera pamochi likolav b'Shabbat. Right? A metal candlesticks that they lit on it on Shabbat. The divra kol, according to everybody, whether it's a Yehuda or a Shimon, it's going to be asur. However, the loy likolav, if they didn't light in it, according to everybody, it's mutar. According to everybody, it's going to be permitted, even if it was old. Why? There's no muktzeh mechamat mius. It's not disgusting, but it's metal. And number two, there's no muktzeh mechamat isur. It wasn't lit on Shabbat, right? You had them in the vitrina, you had them in the, one of these places. There's no isur. So then according to everybody, it would be permitted. Okay? So also, this was also very, very clear about the different shitot. Okay? Now it says here like this. Here actually in the footnote, it actually gives you a beautiful sikum, a summary. It says that Yehuda holds muktzeh mechamat isur and muktzeh mechamat mius, which means something become disgusting and then it becomes muktzeh, or because if it was on during Shabbat, it becomes muktzeh. So that's Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Meir only holds muktzeh mechamat isur, but not muktzeh mechamat mius, which means because he permitted even the earthenware candles, so there's no problem. But if it was on Shabbat, it's asur for the entire Shabbat. Rabbi Shimon, right, holds that there's no muktzeh whatsoever, but he does hold that while it's on right now, it's muktzeh in itself. And according to Rabbi Shimon, he also doesn't hold a muktzeh l'mitzvato, and even when it's on, it's going to be permitted to use from the oil that dripped down or anything like that. Okay? So those are the 4 different shitot that we have. Okay? Next. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. Says Rav Yehuda in the name of Rav. Mita sheyichada lema'ot asur l'taltala. If you have a bed, which you put money in this bed, or it could be any type of a thing, any type of a money pouch or anything of a wallet, a purse, that it's designated for money, asur l'taltala, you're not allowed to move it on Shabbat. Why? Because since it became muktzeh, right? This is the famous concept that we're going to speak about basis, which basically means like the base, okay? So meitvei, so they're going to ask Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. So Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak comes and he asks, 1 second, we just said you are allowed to carry, right, a new candle, according to everybody, but not an old candle. Now it's mashma, only an old candle, because you actually lit it. So that's considered muktzeh. But a candle that they never used it yet, even if you designated it, it's not muktzeh. And here we said that you designated it. It's not written that there was a money on the bed. It just says you designated it for the bed. Now we know yichud, right, to designate something is usually not enough. So the question is, we're in Memdalad Amubet, 44b, Uman ner right? He comes and he says, yes, umaner telahachyavida, just like the candle is made for this, and still, when you didn't light it, it's still going to become permitted to come and to move it. Mita bed, which is not made for money, lokol chicken shouldn't be permitted to move it, which means that the candle is designated to light the candle. And still we said designation does not help until you actually light the candle. A bed, which is not made for money, if you're going to tell me I designated for money, it's already enough, and now it's going to become prohibited, why? It's only if you actually have the money there. So it says the Gemara, you're right. This is what it means to say. Amar Rav Yehuda Rav says the name of Rav. Mitashi chedar lemaot, a bed that you designated for maot, for money. Hiniach alea maot, if you place money there, and then you started the usage, asur tatala. Now I'm not allowed to carry it on Shabbat. But if I didn't put money there yet, mutal tatala, right? I'm allowed to carry it. Why? Designation is not enough, right? However, though, lo yichda lemaot, if I didn't designate the bed for money, for example, our beds are designated to sleep, not for money. So if you have, right, some people do hide underneath the mattresses, they put all the millions of dollars there, but right, we're talking about usually, right, it's designated for sleep. So he says, shelo yichda lemaot, if right now they did not designate it for money, yesh alea maot, if it has money there, so you're not allowed to be metaltel et zeh. En alea maot, if he doesn't have money, mutaltel tela. Vehu shelo yeh alea ben hashmashot. He says, however, though, this is only if it wasn't there on ben hashmashot. Why? Here in the footnote explains that if the money was there at the beginning of the Shabbat, it becomes a basis l'davar asur. Basis l'davar asur means that there's a concept that we mentioned before, migud katzale ben hashmashot katzale kul yom, which means since it was muktzah during the onset of Shabbat, during twilight, ben hashmashot becomes asur the entire Shabbat. So the same thing here. Since there was money at the beginning of the Shabbat, it becomes muktzah for the entire Shabbat. And this would happen. For example, let's say I put money on my bed purposely, Erev Shabbat, and I left it there. So now on Shabbat, even if I would knock off the money with my elbow or with something else or whatever it is, I can't use the bed. Why? Because it was muktzah during Shabbat and on the onset of Shabbat, and I purposely put it there. If it was forgotten, that's something else. But if it was purposely intended to be there, it's something else, that's it. So now Amar Ula comes and he says, Matkif Rabbi Elazar, right? Matkif Rabbi Elazar comes and he asks the following question, right? Muchani shela, right? What is muchani shela? Here it says the galgal, right? Shela galazu. So basically like this. We're talking about Tumah v'Tara. Okay, so we're talking about Tumah v'Tara. Let me just see if I can find. No, I don't see anything here. No. Okay, so we're talking about as follows. We're talking about Tumah v'Tara. And it says, what are we dealing with? We're dealing with a shida, which is an agalav etz, so it's like a wooden, not a chariot, it's like a caravan. So it's meant to carry people. Okay? Muchani shala, which is the galgal, which are the wheels, is manshi nishmetet, if it could come off, okay, from the agala, which means you could take it off, so it's a utensil on its own, en chibulla. So it's not considered part of the agala to do with tum'ah. So it doesn't become tameh with it. Okay, ve'enim dedetima, and it's not going to be counted with it also. Okay, which means enim dedetima means that usually means a certain amount of volume. Okay, to be mekabel tum'ah. Ve'en matzelet ima be'olamet. It's not going to save be'olamet. Ve'en gorin ota, right? And b'shabbat bizman sheyesh alea ma'ot. And if it has money, you cannot carry it, okay? So it comes out that here, right, if it has money, it's considered a basis of davar asur, and therefore you're not allowed to come and carry this wagon, okay? So ha'en alea ma'ot, but if it didn't have any money, sharia, it's going to be permitted. Afal gav davu ben hashloshot, even during the ben hashloshot, it was there. So it comes out, I'll just show you a picture. Over here. This is the shida. So it's like a caravan, a wooden caravan. People could come inside of it as well. Or here you have utensils. Here you have the wheels. And here's the met. So that's what it means here, okay? So first of all, the wheels, if they could come out, right? If the wheel could come out completely, it's not considered part of the utensil. So we learned a few different halachot. The Mukhani Shela was a wheel. So the wheel, we said that if the wheel could come out, it's not considered connected to do with Tum'ah, which means that it does not become Tameh, right? And if the Tum'ah touched it, it only becomes Tameh, but not the other thing, which means that it's different talachot. They're not connected to do with Hilchot Tum'ah. Another thing is we said En Nimdedet. So En Nimdedet says is that usually a utensil of wood, right, is always going to become tameh, whether it's maleh or rek, whether it's going to be full or empty. However, though, right, a kli etz, it says here when we're talking about a utensil which has midat notzlim of 40 seah and above, right, is not fit to carry it when it's maleh, and therefore it's not going to be mekabel tumah. So to do with this, also the defanota kli, right, also the walls of the utensil, right, which means if it has 40 seah, so then the kli is not mekabel tumah. So here, the wheels are not counted as part of the utensil, as part of this caravan, okay? And the next one is that it's not going to save the oil amet, which means, right, that means it says like this, when this Adam or Kelim go on top of a met, or a kever, on top of a tombstone, so they become tameh because of oil amet. So it says over here, however, though, if there's an ohel, if there's a tent of a tefach and above, right, which is made of something which is not mekabel tumah, so it's a chatzitza. So why? Because there's like a hefsek, there's an interruption, there's a pasek. Yeah, babachaki. Yeah, we have a pasek here. So since there's a pasek, it's not going to be mekabel tumah. So here, it's not considered a hefsek. Okay, that's what it says here. En matzelet tima be'olamet. It's not going to be considered a hefsek. Okay, and therefore it is going to be mitameh everything. Okay, ven gorin ota b'shabbat bizman sheish lama, but you're not allowed to carry it when it has money inside of it. So here the Gemara was going to deduce, if it doesn't have money on inside of it now, you are allowed to, even though on Ben HaShoshot, it did have the money. So the question is why? You just told me that if it has money Ben HaShoshot, that's it, it's done. It's a done deal. So answers the Gemara, Hayir Rabbi Shimoni delet lemukse. No. This Mishnah is Shitat Rabbi Shimon, that he doesn't hold the mukse. So since he doesn't hold the mukse, that's why it's permitted, because according to him, even after the beginning of the Shabbat, there's no problem of basis, right? Why? Because he doesn't hold the mukse, so there's no problem. The Rav, however, Rav holds, like Yehuda, right, that there is going to be a sur mukse because of the Knisat Shabbat, because of the onset of the Shabbat. The Hachinami Mistabra, this is also logical to say so, Memhea Mudalef, the Rav Yehuda Silei Bezrav holds like Rav Yehuda. The Amar Rav Bezrav says, Manichin Nera Gabedeker b'Shabbat. You're allowed to place a candle on top of a tree on Shabbat. Then manichin ner gabedeka b'Yom Tov. You're not allowed to place it on Yom Tov. Why? Because on Yom Tov, right, the ner is not muktzeh. So I'm going to suspect, right, that I'm going to take the candle from the tree on Shabbat, and I'm using a tree on Shabbat. However, on Shabbat, the candle is muktzeh, and therefore I'm not going to take it off. So therefore, I could put it on the tree, and I'm not going to use the tree on Shabbat. Right? So if you're going to tell me that he holds like Rabbi Yehuda Tzirlei, so then that's the difference between Shabbat and Yom Tov. But if you're going to tell me that Rabbi Shimon Tzirlei, that he holds like Rabbi Shimon, what's the difference between Shabbat and Yom Tov? At the end of the day, also on Shabbat, I'm allowed to move it after turned off, just like by Yom Tov. By Yom Tov, you're allowed to carry a candle, right? Candles you're allowed to carry on Yom Tov. It's Shabbat that you're not allowed to carry a candle on Shabbat when it's lit. But on Yom Tov, you're allowed to carry it wherever you want, to do whatever you want, to do Havdalah, to do whatever. You could do it, okay? So therefore, that's obviously a proof that Rav holds like Rabbi Yehuda, okay? So this was